Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, Lord Balaram, whose appearance day it is today, comes before Krishna comes. In fact, it's part of the pastime of Krishna's appearance in this world to have Balaram appear first. Because Balaram is the source of what is sometimes translated in our scriptures as the all-accommodating potency. So you just look up the word accommodation or accommodate, see where it comes from. But there, for life to exist, for our desires to be fulfilled, we require some accommodation. And one works hard in the world in order to get whatever accommodations one can in order to live a comfortable life, live a happy life, pursue one's ideal path. And this is a natural symptom of life, to find accommodation. What does it mean?
So accommodate is a verb of physical space, or especially a building. Provide lodging or sufficient space.
Read it again.
A physical space.
A physical space.
Especially a building.
Especially a building.
And then provide lodging or sufficient space.
Provide lodging or sufficient space.
And then second is fit in with the wishes or needs of.
Fit in with the wishes or needs of. So this is describing Lord Balaram. Read it again.
Fit in with the wishes or needs of.
Fit in with the wishes or needs of. So this is the exact description of Lord Balaram. His desires are fixed on fulfilling the wishes of Krishna. This is the essence of his being. That's why he's described as the all-accommodating potency, because he lives in order to accommodate Krishna's wishes and whatever wishes and needs.
And the origin is
wishes and what else?
Wishes or needs.
Wishes or needs, okay. And?
Those were the only two.
And where does it come from?
The origin is mid-16th century, from Latin accommodate. And so from the word ad, which means to, plus commodus, which means fitting. So something which is made fitting.
Made fitting. Okay. So Balaram is that potency of the Lord. He expands from Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can understand this from the scripture. Of course, you have to back up and understand how it is we know that scripture is true, and that's another extensive class, but it's explained. If you read the introduction to the Sri Ishopanishad, Prabhupada has summarized how it is that we get perfect knowledge or axiomatic truth from the scripture. One has to accept a source that is unassailable as the source of one's knowledge, otherwise you get infinite regress. So we accept the Vedas as providing that perfect knowledge. Jiva Goswami goes into even more detail about this in the Tattva Sandarbha. Before he talks about the various ways in which the Bhagavatam points towards Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God, and he first establishes how it is that the Bhagavatam is the ultimate authority on everything, and it's the fruit of the Vedas. So, from the scripture we can understand how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, the Srimad-Bhagavatam says, Eti chamsha kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. What does that verse mean? Microphones are there. Please help yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Maharaj.
There are many incarnations of the Supreme Lord, but Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnations, and he comes to the world every time to defeat the enemies of Indra.
Thank you very much. And if we scroll down a little bit more, and we also turn down the gain in the microphone that somehow jumped up magically, we have this translation: all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. The Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. And before Krishna appears in Vrindavan, or in Mathura, he invites all of his associates to appear also, to accommodate his pastimes in the world. And of course, we know when the Balaram Purnima comes, we're very close to Janmashtami, and this is part of the process of getting ready for Janmashtami, is greeting Lord Balaram and adjusting our own attitudes towards being fully accommodating towards Krishna, which is the real joy in life. In fact, without this understanding that all of the wealth that I have, the energy that I have, gain is still too high, please turn it down, that is meant to serve Krishna, then I become entangled in what is called Hlada Tapatraya, which means the threefold miseries, which are fully evident at every second in this world, in the form of various kinds of interventions by living entities. Hare Krishna. He won't understand that. And now you can turn it up just a little bit too, please. Sorry. Hare Krishna. So in the Gita, microphone up, please. In the Gita, Krishna says, Yakaroshi yadashnashi ajjohasi dadasiya yatapasyasi konteya tatkurushva madarpanam. And this means that whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, should be done as an offering unto me. It's okay now. And this is good advice, because unless I accommodate Krishna with the wealth that I have, with the intelligence that I have, with whatever facility I've gotten because of my previous karmas, then it becomes a source of entanglement for me. So what you'll find is that people get, for instance, in Hillsborough, which is just above Burlingame. If you drive up past the El Camino Real and you drive up into the Hillsdale is a mall. Of course, if you go there too, you'll find the same thing. It's also good. There's a lot of accommodation there materially. It doesn't get much better in California. If somebody thinks, I'm in California, Northern California, I want to go somewhere else in the world to find happiness or a better situation, there isn't any. There's materially speaking, this is it. So you can stop. One thing is you can stop looking, because there's no better place than Northern California in the world as far as accommodation goes. You can adjust a little up and down in Northern California, but after you earn $150,000 a year, there's not much more you can do. So that's about it. But if you get with any kind of facility that one gets, that is material facility, unless one uses it in order to accommodate Krishna by serving the devotees, by serving Krishna, then it becomes a source of entanglement. And so what you can find in Hillsborough is you can find people that have more accommodation than they need. For instance, you might find a house that has 15 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. And there's lots of other kind of special names for rooms these days. We have to ask one of our real estate agents to tell us what they're all called, a bonus room and this room and that room. And then maybe there's 2 people that live there. And maybe nobody lives there. Maybe a dog lives there. And the people go away during the day, and the dog, sits up on the couch and looks out at the swimming pool and thinks, I'm the richest dog in the world. And one, the Bhagavatam says, who doesn't use one's material facility in order to serve Krishna is like a silkworm that weaves a web and then doesn't realize that it actually encased itself in this covering and it's stuck inside, like silkworm. So Balaram comes to show us, to teach us. That's why he's the guru. The guru teaches how to use one's God-given facilities in order to accommodate Krishna, because this actually produces happiness in life. To use whatever facilities one has to serve Krishna makes us happy. And that's the process of devotional service, to engage everything in Krishna's service. And without that, we become entangled more and more in the material world. So Balaram comes and shows by example as the original guru. And the reason he appears first is to make facility and clear the way for Krishna to come to a pristine environment. As Devaki, the mother of Krishna, receives one child after another, and Kamsa kills these children. There's a history. These children actually were originally the children of Kalanemi in a previous life. This is a family of asuras, and these children, 6 of them, had a grandfather that you probably remember named Hiranyakashipu. You've heard of him. Who's your grandfather? Hiranyakashipu. And being part of that family, they were expected to keep up a certain tradition of demoniac pursuits. They did, however, divert their attention to worshipping Brahma in such a way that it angered Hiranyakashipu, who cursed them. The Shastra tells how they took birth by the curse of Hiranyakashipu in the womb of Devaki, and then Kalanemi became Kamsa in the next life, and he killed what were his previous children in the last life. But they're described as being representative of the various anartas that hold us back from using everything that we have to accommodate Krishna. And instead, I try to accommodate myself. Like kama. Kama, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, is the all-devouring enemy of this world, a lust. And then there's greed, which is an impulse that no matter what I have, it's not enough. It's the opposite of gratitude. In gratitude, whatever I get, because I see its connection to Krishna, and I understand that Krishna is very kind, and he's providing me my very life, and that everything I get is his mercy. This instills in one this feeling of gratitude, which is the precursor to bhakti. When one sees how Shukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, the universe is so generous, and it's giving us flowing water in the rivers that one can simply go to and drink. And if one takes that water and thinks, this is Krishna's mercy. In fact, Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, when you drink water, if you think, Raso hamapsa konteya prabhasmi shashishurya. So this taste is Krishna. He's actually fulfilling my desire. You can be happy when you take that because you're thinking, this is Krishna's mercy. But due to greed, one thinks this isn't enough. I'll have to, instead of just drinking water for myself, I'll have to take all the water and bottle it and sell it and get as much money as possible so I can live in a big house and then control all the water. In India, it's a problem nowadays because these big companies like, well, I won't mention their names because the CEOs are probably watching, but you know who you are. They're pumping water out of the little villages so people don't have anything to drink. And where do they put it? They put it in this fancy bottle of water that one now has to buy for, how much is it now? 40 rupees? 40 rupees. And if you get it at the airport, it's 120 per bottle. But that was pumped out of somewhere, and someone wants to control all the water and take it away. But this is greed. And what can consume one's life and take one far away from the process of real health, or attaining real health, which is the process of devotional service. So when these Shadgarbhas, they're called Shadgarbha asuras, are killed, it represents the way in which one has to clear the path for Krishna's appearance in one's life. Make no mistake, the appearance of Krishna in one's own life, in one's heart and mind, is the only source of happiness for the living entity. There is no other source of happiness. Jeev Krishna Das e Vishwas Korle Tor Ardukona. You have to have Vishwas. You have to have faith that the only source of happiness in my life is serving Krishna. And you have to identify yourself as Krishna Das. This is the most exalted of all situations in the material world, contrary to what I may think, that putting myself forward and controlling all the resources is actually an exalted position. But the real exalted people are those who know I'm Krishna Das. And they follow in the footsteps of Lord Balaram, who's the most auspicious of all personalities. So he appears after the Shadgarbhas are killed. So they're killed one by Kamsa. And preparing for the appearance of Lord Krishna in the world, then Balaram appears first as the elder brother of Krishna. And he appears in the womb of Devaki, but Krishna makes an arrangement that he'll be attracted from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, another one of Vasudev's wives, in Gokula. And then Yogamaya appears within the womb of Devaki. And the Srimad-Bhagavatam explains that after the Shadgarbhas have been in the womb of Devaki and asked this question, are they on the same level as Krishna? How could they be in the same womb before Krishna appears? And Srila Prabhupada explains that actually when Balaram, Sankarshan, appears in the womb of Devaki, he makes he purifies the womb of Devaki so that Krishna can appear. And that's his service. So after he appears in the womb of Devaki, then Krishna can appear there. So this indicates the way in which we must prepare ourselves for the appearance of Krishna in our lives by taking advantage of Balaram's potency, the all-accommodating potency. And he teaches as guru to use everything in Krishna's service, to organize one's life. He carries a plow. This is an indication of cultivation, to cultivate one's desires in such a way that they're for serving Krishna and not for serving our own senses. And when one makes this kind of preparation by taking the help of Balaram, who gives us that strength, spiritual strength to do that, then Krishna appears in our minds and hearts and manifests in our life. And then we can actually become happy. this is practical. It's a very practical thing, and everybody can do it. It's not something esoteric. It is esoteric, but it is not unattainable. It's wholly attainable. And that's one of Krishna's messages in the Bhagavad Gita. It's very straightforward. He says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sojana. That if you can just understand the divine nature of my appearance in this world, then you won't be obligated to take birth again in this horrible condition of material life. You can give up this flesh-based body and attain your eternal spiritual body for serving Krishna by understanding. And that comes by the mercy of Balaram, the Guru Tattva, who teaches us very practically how to use everything in Krishna's service. And now we have a couple minutes, so we'll take a couple of reflections. But you got to be quick. Go ahead. Bali Mardan Prabhu.
I was listening to a lecture, Prabhupada's conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he pointed out that Prabhupada said the Krishna and Balarama are non-different. Only the expansion, only difference is their color. One is black, another is white. Then another episode, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said that Krishna has one set of gopis and Balarama is also another set of gopis, two different. So they are, in that case, they are different. Then they asked, how come they are same and different? Prabhupada said, you decide.
And that reminded me also, I don't know how it reminded me, but one of the pastimes of Balaramas is in killing Denakasura. And this is, it's easily understandable because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Denakasura represents an ass-like mentality. And Denakasura had this whole tall forest for himself, and he wouldn't let anybody else take it. He was hoarding everything. This is material life. I close myself off, I keep all my stuff locked up, and I collect more and more of it, and I don't want anybody else to have it except for maybe my expansions. It's a very greedy mentality. This is an ass-like existence. This is the opposite of being a Mahatma. Mahatmas are thinking how to give to everybody, how to make everybody fortunate. And the demons like Denukasura think, how can I keep everything for myself? And if anybody else comes here, I'll kill them. In fact, Denukasura was horrible. He killed people. So one of Krishna's pastimes, in which he engages Balaram, is to go to that tall forest and have Balaram kill the Denukasura demon. And this is one of the propensities that we must kill by taking shelter of the instructions of our gurus, to give up this greedy mentality of hoarding everything for myself and become soft-hearted and generous, not try to simply enjoy material life in an extremely incompatible way. One more? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for explaining in the starting how forest of material enjoyment a merchant goes and he looks for material happiness, and that never exists in this material world. And then the example that you give of the silverworm who just wraps itself under the cocoon that it creates. Similarly, the material wealth, if we or any of the asset that Krishna has given us, if we don't use it, it actually binds us more and more in this material world. And then you given the example of Hillsborough, how practically we can see. At last, you mentioned that how our real satisfaction comes by serving Krishna. There is nothing else in the world can satisfy us other than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You had one from the internet? Okay. Please.
I really like the new sort of take that you had on karma, and you said that karma is actually the opposite of gratitude. normally we think gratitude, thanklessness, that's an antonym, but desiring more is also an opposite of gratitude. That was a new thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes?
Hare Krishna, thank you for the very, very wonderful class. It was very amazing how you described that although Lord Balaram is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but always he's absorbed how to serve Krishna. So I'm just wondering, Prabhu, what is the best prayer that we can offer to Lord Balaram? Because as you described, he is also our hope, like a guru. He helps, not only serving Krishna, but he also helps the living entities to come closer to Krishna.
Well, the best prayers or genre of prayers is to ask, how can I serve? Because that's the mood of Lord Balaram. And this is one of the predominant points that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj makes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is that Balaram has this service attitude. And there are many prayers in which we ask Krishna, please engage me in your service. The best of all of them is the Hare Krishna mantra. We don't actually need any other prayer. For taste, there are many different kinds of prayers that one can make. However, if one fully embraces the meaning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra within one's heart, and while chanting actually begs for the holy name, which is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Lord Chaitanya is asking us to do. N-H-E Ashaudi Maya Nashi Bharolagi Harinam Sankirtan Lao Tumi Magi. Magi means to beg. And if you think about begging when you're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it's not exactly the kind of prayer that you say. Well, that's important, but it's how you say it that makes all the difference in the world. Because if it's sincere and you really come to the end of thinking that there's something for me in the material world, and you think there's nothing for me here, and you realize I've wasted a lot of time, so much time that I can't even count it all. And now I've changed my mind. This is a good way to think. I changed my mind. I'm turning my direction in life. And if you pray with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that Krishna, please engage me in your service. I'm completely unworthy, but somehow or other use me in your service. This is the mood of Lord Balaram. And by that chanting, with that intention, one gets spiritual strength, because Krishna is waiting to empower us to do more and more service. We notice when we teach Krishna consciousness to others, and this is one of the important reasons to go and teach Krishna consciousness to the world, that there are many people who can't accept Krishna consciousness when we offer it, even though it's the best thing. And we may be tasting it ourselves. For instance, in Los Angeles last week, we were tasting something special because we spent several days, some devotees even a week, working nonstop, around the clock, to prepare a festival, to make available an offering to the people of Los Angeles. It's an offering to Lord Jagannath, but part of the offering is giving to the people of Los Angeles an opportunity to take to Krishna consciousness. And fully engrossed in the chanting and the association of devotees, and then one goes out with all of these gifts to give to the public, and we approach, and they go, no thanks, get out, go away. They don't all say that, but enough people so that you can notice it. And then even when you begin talking to people, I talked to some people down at Venice Beach, and I began explaining to them, because they inquired, what's going on. And as you begin to talk to them, you'll notice that they have various deeply rooted misconceptions. For instance, one person I was telling about Krishna consciousness was saying, yeah, right, I understand. All paths lead to the same place, right? It is all the same, and it doesn't matter which one you can worship this or that. It doesn't matter as long as you worship. These are deeply rooted misconceptions. And when one has those, one can't fully embrace the process of service to Krishna. One has to have a clear idea of what is service. Siddhanta Bulya Chitana Kara Alash. Iha hoite Krishna lagi sudrid manash. In order for one's mind to be sudrid, completely determined to serve, you have to have a clear idea of why I'm not serving the material world and why I'm serving Krishna instead, and why this is actual happiness. And it takes people a while to actually get that. They have to go through a painstaking process, step by step, sometimes after many, many lifetimes, but then they come to this lifetime. And even this lifetime, you have to help cultivate people until they can actually accept Krishna consciousness. So the best prayer to the Lord Balarama is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Gaur Premanande. Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.